Welcome one and all to another episode of Express to Orbit, and you find us somewhere that really isn't the Cape. Yeah, we're at Baikonur because this series is going to be Soviet rockets only. So first of all, when we start the game up, we make sure we don't select any upgrade points. We don't spend any upgrade points. We go straight to the tracking station. If you haven't seen this before, within the tracking station, you go around, you find yourself Baikonur. You could also go for some of the other ones like Yasny. I think Plietsk is up there. You go to Baikonur, you click on it, it goes green like that, you leave. And you too can be in this wonderful little wasteland, which gets a little choppy when you're changing locations like that. So, what else have we changed in this series? Well, first of all, this is an express install. This means that you can have exactly the same install as me. It does also mean that I have some things I don't really like having, but I'll complain about those later. So if you want this, just go on to CCAN and install using the RP1 Express install, and you can have exactly the same install here. It does mean I don't have conformal decals. I don't have internal RCS, which are the two things that I tend to put on. And we've completed the contract already, the techno part. So, first things first, let's get our first rocket underway. So we need to choose a mission. Hygiene, I'm not entirely sure you're in the right country right now, but we'll live with that. Right, we're going to take first launch, which gives us a little bit of money. So there we go, we got a little bit of cash. Now, let's have a look. We haven't got any vessels, do we? No, oh, close that. Right, we have no extra upgrade points. We've spent our one free upgrade point in the VAB, so we've got that. Let's go and look at what rocket we're going to launch. Alright, so in the vehicle assembly building, we've got Werner von Kerman. What are you doing? You should be at the Cape. Go away. Right. Yeah, we have the Stelco 2 here, which, yeah, a clue in the name, it's not the first one I'm going to build. This is your sort of standard design for a Soviet starting rocket. You've got your RD-100 engine, you've got some tanks, and that's about it. A couple of fins. You could put a boat tail on this. It's up to you. That adds a bit of weight, though, so I've not done that. We're not going to do that, though, because if I just come into here and I show you, if I press this here, it'll actually tell me that it takes 200 days to tool this. That's 200 days before I launch my first rocket, and the first rocket doesn't have to do anything apart from go up in the air a bit, and that's about it. So, we're going to build something a little different to start with. So here is Stelco 1, and it may look to you a bit like if we were using the American engines, if we had the Aerobee, if you know, that's the sort of thing. One big difference though is, if I do this, in fact, let's do it on this tank instead. It is 15 centimeters wide. It's about half as wide as you would probably build an Aerobee. You'll see at the bottom here we have a parachute. I will explain why for any reason. The main reason this craft is so thin though is because of this engine, the ORM65. So if we actually go and look at the engines, we can't use the Aerobee, that's American. We can't use the A4, we can't use any of these Derwents and stuff like that because we're doing rockets. So we've basically got a choice of, we've got a choice of the RD100, which is the big chunky sort of V2 engine, and we've got the ORM65. The problem with the ORM65 is, it is not a very powerful engine. So if I click off there and do something, and there we go, you can see its thrust to weight right now is 1.37, which is much lower than I'd ever do. I could stick some of these spin motors on, they're not going to really do much. And I can't use a tiny tin because that is an American rocket. It might be a solid rocket, but it's an American one. So there we go. So this craft is designed to be this thin because it has to be. Because it has to be stable. Because we're actually going to be starting off at quite a low thruster rate, so our aerodynamic stability becomes key. This parachute is as small as it can get, so I know it sticks out, but it's as small as it can get. I wish I could actually flute the bottom of this out to match it so it looked a bit better. In reality, we don't have the mass to work with for that, so this is the craft. This is going to be our first craft. Add to the fact that we have put no antenna on this. So I'm going to allow myself to action group this parachute, but that's it. Primarily, I'm going to assume that it's a timer that we've got set up on parachute or something like that, and I'm allowing myself to do that. Not going to allow myself anything else. We don't have any experiments on board other than telemetry because we can't actually carry the weight. The weight will actually kill this craft if we put it on. It has got about 48 seconds of burn time. This can actually burn for longer than that, but we just don't have the ability to do that because the weight goes up too much. We are very much weight limited. So this is the Stelco 1. We're going to tool it. That's going to cost us 3,000, is it? Yep, there we go. And we're getting a bit low on funds there, aren't we? Oh, it's tight for what I want to do. next step is I want to actually build it. So we're gonna save it first of all. We're gonna change our flag. We don't want that one. That's for something else you don't need to see just yet. That's something coming. And we're going to launch that. There we go. We're going to pay for that. And there we are. So we've now got 50,000 funds. And I did say, we're very low on funds. That's because I need to be thinking a little bit about our next step. So I could build a second one of these. In fact, I'm going to, because I'm always concerned that it doesn't work. Normally I would build my second rocket at this point, and it would probably be a Stelco 2 that you've just seen. However, we want to get build points as quickly as possible. And I know putting a Stelco 2 in would actually probably use up most of the extra 10,000 funds I have there. So I'm not even going to risk it. I'm not even going to risk it or debate it. And we're going to come straight across to our upgrades, and we're going to buy 2 upgrade points. We're going to put them straight into the VAB. There we go. So what's our vessel doing now? 44 days. We have cut a big chunk out of that. That's lovely, isn't it? We love seeing that. Now, this mission has 2 rules. The first one is to get that first flight, but the second one we'll talk about when we're on the launch pad. So I'm going to fast forward to launch, and I will see you upon the launch pad, because I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about. So here we are in the morning sun of Baikonur, and it's that's not very Baikonur-y, is it? Anyway, let's move on. Right, let's get this started. So we're going to get the engines up, and we can talk, because we've got about 40, 50, 60, 70, there's time in this mission, shall we say, to have a chat. So we're going to get this going straight away. So start the engine, decouple, there we go, we're off. Right, this is going to burn for about 45 seconds, but the main mission for this is to complete, where are we? To complete our first launch. So that means, and these are things that you've always got to remember, particularly with a rocket like this, we have to be going over 50 meters per second. Which we are now doing, and we have to go over 1 kilometer. And may not seem like much, but actually it does stop you from just using some of those sort of kick motors and things like that to do this. You do actually have to have a reasonably sustained burn, and it needs to have reasonable aerodynamics. You can see we're falling over. Now, this craft has a parachute on it. Why? Why would I put a parachute on this craft? Well, if I am going to use this engine, it cannot lift much. And so I have a debate on my mind, which is, well, I'm not going to get to 40,000 meters. Okay, I'm not going to get to 40 kilometers, and science starts at 40 kilometers. So you can see now, I think we're going to get to about 10 kilometers up. So hopefully we're going to get a reward for getting over 10 kilometers, a bit of cash. But I still want to get some science from this. I want to start our science research as soon as possible. And so, how am I going to get science out of it? Well, I'm going to get science out of it by returning this craft. And when we get to the peak there, we just can hit 5, because I've got this action grouped. So this is now armed. This parachute is armed. What I really want is to actually get this craft back, because that will get us 5 science. And it's not going to get us an upgrade point, not yet, but it starts us on the process of moving science. It means that while we're building the next craft, we can actually start doing some research. And that is, in my mind, free research. If we built that first craft, that Svet 2, the science wouldn't come in now for another 150 days. We wouldn't have started science for 150 days. So we've got 150 days of free science. It's not the best science in the world, because we don't have many points in science, in research, but we can start that process, and anything that's free is wonderful for us. So we're coming down, you see there, the parachutes deploy. I could actually have reduced, I don't think you can. I think these are the smallest parachutes you can actually get, but if you go into the action group and you fiddle around with it, I think potentially I could have made them smaller. We will see. So this thing's going to come down. One of the things that you have to be wary of is, though, it's very pointy. It'll probably stick in the ground and get stuck there. So we'll just wait. We won't get any science from this other than from recovery. So that's what we're going to do. There was no point putting extra science things on it. So I'm going to let this thing flop down into the ground. We'll recover it, and we will see what happens next. Alright, so with that mission complete, you can see we have actually recovered no science. Even though we did telemetry, it was all too low, so we don't get any science for that, but we do get 5.5 science for the Stelco being recovered, so that's great. So we've now got 5.5, it says 5 there, we've actually got 5.5. We got that, we got a little bit of funds back for it. We're up to 17,000 funds. Missions completed. Of course, we built the craft, that's always a good mission. We completed first launch, and we got this uncrewed altitude 10 kilometers. So next we're going to go into the mission control, and we're going to have a look at things. So we'll start the mission control, we'll do the science, we'll get our next craft done, and we'll get moving. Alright, so here in Mission Control we have our Kármán line contract. We expected that because after first flight, well, that's what you're going to get. We've also got this sounding rocket contract, which requires we just get to 75 kilometers. Well, if we're going to the Kármán line, we'll do that as well, so that's good. And we've got a bit of cash now, so we need to get a craft built, but also we don't have any tech doing anything. So we're going to come into the research facility and we're going to spend some research points now because we've got 5.5 because we got that craft back. We're going to get post-war rocketry testing. What we're trying to get up to is it here? Where are we? Yeah, the Scud. We're trying to get the Scud because that is sort of an upper stage we can use. The Russians don't really have upper stages as such early on, so they're sort of one shot all go, and they all ground light. So that's what we're going to be, unless we want to rely upon our ORM, whatever it's called, ORM 65 or whatever, which yeah, we may end up combining with the Scud or with something else, but we will see. So we get that. We're going to take this one as well, and of course we're now stopped from going any further because we need to get some materials science. We'll do that, and we don't have enough to get the next node of that, which is annoying. We need a seven research for that, so we need to think about that. We need 7 research for that, we need 3 for that, so 10 more just to get to there. And we're going to be trying to get to orbital rocketry because we get the good Russian engines there. We love to get up to here to get some of our orbital stuff, but yeah, I think we're going to be trying to go for orbit as soon as possible. So yeah, next step, back to the main screen. Because if we actually have a look now, one of the changes that's come in recently is the sort of Hearts of Iron sort of progress thing. So you can see here, these have now got, our tech has now got little coloured dots at the end of it, and this says this is state-of-the-art R&D, research rate 1.01 times. Oh, that's interesting, 1.01 times. Right, so those are all on 0, and that's on 1.1. Right. So if we go ahead, if we try and specialize in just one field of research and really push it, and we're ahead of time, ahead of the expected time for that research, it will actually take us longer or more effort to do the research, to try and represent that it takes sort of time to big sort of leaps of advancement. Equally, if we actually we progress all the others, and say for example our solids were lagging behind, because they're so far behind, it will take less time for us to do the research in those. So it's maybe something worth thinking about. We want to try and keep all of our stuff on either this 1 times rate or play around with it so that some of the later things we can actually get a little boost on without it. Now, I haven't really played around with that much. This is my actual first time looking at it properly, but for example, if we're going to do science later, I don't know what the range is, but potentially if you're going to take a long time over the start of the game, you could put some of the science stuff later on and then get a boost to doing it while you're just keeping everything else just ticking away. So it's something to think about when you're developing that. Anyway, let's get a craft together. So here we are with the Stelco 200. The 00 just means that it has nothing else on it. This top section here is, I believe, yeah, it's just an empty sort of structure on the top there. I could have put fairings on, but we don't need those at the moment. Yeah, we may need something like this for sounding rocket missions potentially. So this will have the ability to hopefully store some sounding rockets. We can actually have a, let's try it. Let's have a look. Our sounding rocket payload, how much can it fit in there? It can fit 1,000. So what we'll actually do is we'll remove that. We're actually going to tool it with that high pressure tank. Primarily because we can then use that for sounding rocket missions if we have to in the future. It starts that process for us. I don't think we probably will. We will probably end up putting sound rockets below there, but we can. So we need to tool this. What's that going to do for us? It's going to go down from 500 days to 150 days. It's a long time. These first rockets with the Russian program take a long time. That's, you know, what, 5 months, something like that. It's a big chunk. So if we tool that, that's going to cost us 8,000. Purchase that tooling. Thank you very much. Integration cost, rollout cost, not too bad. So we're going to be able to do that. We potentially, yeah, we should be able to get another research token. So we're going to save that, and we're going to build one. There we go. We're going to buy those parts because we've got the RD100 on the bottom there, and we've got these launch clamps. We're going to buy those. Thank you very much. This thing weighs in at 12 tons, so plenty of capacity. I've actually got 14 for this because we may want to put some stuff on the top of it. I should point that out. We will probably be putting extra payload on the top of this, so having a slightly bigger thing there. You can, if you really wanted to, put that control mass 20 tons and then you've got it done, but not really a big issue for us. Right, let us go and progress time and whatnot. While we're actually here, we do not need the Stelco 1 anymore. We can scrap that and get a little tiny bit of fund back. There we go, got about 50 funds back. Our Stelco 2 can build. We're not going to put a second craft in. Have a look at our upgrade points. We are currently doing very slow for that. We should be able to spend an upgrade point, but there's one other thing I wanted to do before that, and it's just a picky thing. If we go into, let's have a look, into our costs. Our astronauts cost us every year 2,000 funds. We're not using them at the moment, and particularly if you have a program that is going to, shall we say, is going to run slower than this, your astronauts might retire. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to choose a couple of them and get rid of them. Raymond, goodbye. We'll keep one, I think. Yeah, we'll keep one. What are your G-forces? 6.1, 5.96. I think we're going to keep a Rose Richard. Get rid of the others. There we go. And go back into the pot. That's going to save us a little bit of money and potentially. Oh no, it has not. Where are we? Let's have a look. Oh, base cost is defined. Okay, doesn't save you anything at all, does it? We will see. I would have thought that would have saved us money. Oh well. Right. Maybe that's a glitch. I don't know. Right. I'm gonna buy an upgrade point though. So we're gonna pay funds, and we're gonna take this, and if we put it into R&D, we get a little bump. But we're already at 2.5, so that's not too bad. If we put it in here, we're going to get a bump as well. So we're going to go VAB because we've only currently got 3 points in the VAB. We'll get that up there. Gives it a little bump. And it just shortens it down. So instead of 150 days, we're now 140 days. So I'm going to fast forward time. We're going to launch this and get on with it a bit. We have started rolling out our Stelco 2. And interestingly, our tech, we're about to finish our first bit of tech research. So that's actually not bad, is it? We're moving on through those. Right, let's roll this out and get it launched, and I can talk to you about it while it's going up. So here we are on the launch pad, and I should point out, I should really have been building a second one of these as a backup in case this engine goes, because not the most reliable of engines. So, other thing to point out, we have in that avionics core, we've got telemetry, pressure scanner, and temperature scanner. This thing is not coming back, but it can transmit science while it's going up. So that's what we've got that for. So there we go. So we're just going to keep an eye on our little missions. These are the two that are most important, and we are ready to go. So we have guidance. We could have gone unguided, but this thing's thrust is not the best for that, and resistance and stuff not perfect. This is more designed as sort of a booster for our next set of missions than just for this one. We're trying to save money on our tooling, so that's what we're trying to do with that. So let's get this thing going. Let's get the engine going. There we are, and go. There we go. Oh, boost is it? Boost is what the Russians say, or something similar like that, but in Russian. So this is going to go, and we're just going to go straight up with this, I think. I'm not entirely sure what the biomes are around here. I'm guessing we just get the one, but you know, if you're really trying to maximize something like this, particularly if you're somewhere like in America, you decide to do the Russian launch, but from the Cape, going north, going across the water, going anything like that, will actually get you other biomes, which is quite useful. So you can get extra science. What we could do is actually have a look and see, do we actually have, we'll bring these up, we'll bring those up so we can actually see them, because we're about to go, here we go, get that there, right, we're about to go, that's terribly arranged, isn't it? We're about to go over the 40 kilometers, and that's when we should start getting some stuff. So we're now getting quite a lot of contracts finishing. We're getting speed contracts, we're getting altitude contracts. This is all the stuff that we would have in the American, with mixed engines, would have probably got with our first launch. We're now getting it, so we're getting extra bonus money. We're going to use that for our next few launches. There we go, engine has gone. How long did it burn for? What's our fuel like, actually? That's interesting. Okay, so we had a little bit of fuel left. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. We got a decent launch. We're gonna go space. We're gonna go into sort of low Earth space there, which is good. We don't need to worry too much about, you know, how high we're going. If we get over I think 200 is a boundary. I'd have to have a look, but 200 being a boundary would be really nice. We're going to be over 100, and you can see the science is coming in now, so that's really nice. We're going to get that flying high up. So we're over the desert. I also get the temperature is biome dependent, which is nice. Right, we have completed yet another contract. Let's have a look. Have we done our first ones yet? Right, so we've done the sounding rocket low and we've done the Karma line, so they're all done. Now, at this point, you could range safety it. We could do range safety and it's fine. However, I'm keeping an eye on this electric, because while that electric's running, we can get science. So if we actually look over here, there we go, thank you. We need to get, ideally, I think we've got 5 science so far, and if you get a point for every 10 science, I think it is. So we really need to get as much science as we can. This thing's going to spend another couple of minutes on its way up, and we're going to get science. So let us speed this up just a smidgen. There we go, just physical time warp instead of actual time warp thing. See, 18 contracts finished. We're going to look at those after this and see which what we got. And this is actually about us just gathering as much science as possible. As I say, you could range safety this. We're going to have signal. We're going to have signal pretty much all the way up, and if we lose it, well, we lose it. We should have electric charge. We've put timing on this to try and get us enough, so you can see we're about halfway through our electric charge now. But the good thing is we're pretty much at our apoapsis. So that means that we should have electric charge all the way down. Remember, this thing is not gonna land. We don't have a parachute on it. We could have put a parachute on it and brought it back down, and that would have given us extra science. But we're trying to get this one out of the way pretty quickly. It is an alternative approach to stick a parachute on one of these and bring it down, a bit like we did with early launches in the first season of this. And maybe we're missing science for that, but we are going to have to do a sample return in the next mission anyway. And we just try to get this rocket out as quickly as possible. So we now should have a bonus point for, let me just check, is it actually going to say to us? We don't. Maybe it's 20 points. Maybe I'm going crazy. Let's have a look. Upgrades. So we've got 12 science. Oh, we're coming back through the atmosphere now. We're going to pause. So we've got 12 science in total that's built up now. Okay. We could really do with a bit more, couldn't we? So we're probably going to get that. Here we go. The batteries are getting low, so we don't really mind what happens to this now. We're just going to, hopefully that will survive to about 40 kilometers. It won't. It'll burn up well before that. But we're transmitting as we go. We're getting as much out of this as we can. There we go. And this science, of course, we can start spending it. We can start getting those next techs lined up so we can actually start doing things with them. So there we go. Coming through, we're going to probably start heating up pretty soon, I think. It'll be interesting to see which way around this actually orientates itself. Is it going to go engine first? I think possibly. Not sure. So we're going to do, I think, one more launch in this episode. We're going to do the orbit and return. I'll do that quickly though, because it's very much going to be similar to the first series. It is and it isn't. It's going to be what I would have done in the first series style, shall we say. But anyway, there we go. We've got problems, and electric's about to go. So when the electric goes, we can actually just range safety. Oh well, we'll just wait. There you go. It killed itself before we had to. So there we are. All right, back to the space center. I think just short of the science we needed. Oh, so close. All right, we have come back down, and I actually had a thought. There is something you could do to actually make that a little bit more of an interesting launch. I think potentially if you wanted to actually get to that landmark science to get yourself another science point, and it's probably what I would do in the future if I was really speedrunning it, I would put some science probes cores on the top of that craft. We know we can get to a decent altitude. Some decouplers and some science probes, and give them pressure and temperature scanners, and then decouple them as you go through the atmosphere, as you're going up. Well, as soon as your engine cuts out, separate them out. The reason being, they could then do your pressure scan for you. They could do your, not crew report, but they could do your, temperature scan. And they could do telemetry analysis. And you can see telemetry, we could have almost finished that, but 5 minutes. Temperature scan is 10 minutes. We could have definitely had another probe core doing that, and that would have got us another 2 science. And then equally, let's have a look. Would that have given us it? It would have got us part way there. So again, pressure scan maybe. If you're getting other biomes, it would have worked, but we will see. Potentially coming back through the atmosphere as well, you'd have got science. So you could have got close. If you put a couple of those on, there's potentially 5 there, and maybe 5 there. If you put a number of those on and you gave them a bit of energy and stuff and transmitters, potentially you could actually get yourself that mission complete. But we didn't do that. So let's have a look. What did we actually get? Well, we've got a vessel completed. We've got money. Lots and lots of money. That's what we like to see. So next mission. Hi Gene, how you doing? Still don't understand why you're here. We're not going to take the downrange milestone. We normally, in the previous series, we took suborbital crew and downrange mile. That's not really possible with our engine configs at the moment, so we're going to go for the suborbital. We're going to take that, and then we're going to have a look and see is there anything we can combine it with. So let's have a look. We've got intermediate sounding rockets, we've got downrange development. We're going to send something up, and we want to then get something else out of it. So I think 120 units payload to 150 kilometers, that is tempting, because that we need to get to 140, I believe. Suborbital, we need to go to suborbit, so we need to be 140 for that, so we might as well get to 150. So let's take that one as well, and we just need to put have a sounding rocket in the craft. So we just need to put a sounding rocket payload somewhere on that craft of 120 units, which is nothing. So we'll just take that, and then we can start putting together a craft. So I will get to the VAB and show you what we're doing. Alright, so here we are with the Stelco 2 4BO1 plus SR. Yeah, don't even ask. So I've put a little tank down here, which is a procedural tank with sounding rocket payload space in it, basically. We're going to go for this size just because I'm going to have to tool it, and it's sometimes useful having a bit of volume there. Some of the sounding rocket payloads can go up to that sort of size, so it's worth us having it because we've now also got the top section we could stick on there as well that's been tooled and things like that. So that gives us an option to basically reuse that tooling, but we don't need that much sounding rocket payload. So let's just let's do it manually. So I'm going to change that to the required amount. On the top of here, well, we have my standard sort of shoddy, shall we say, heat shield using a science core. We have biological capsule there. We're going to have that going. We don't need to send this up. We could send a much smaller craft up, but we want science. We're going to try and get some science out of this. So that's pretty much why we're doing this bit. We will have missions in the future that will require both of these, but we can actually start to get some science out of them, which is, potentially a bonus for us. So I'm going to set this up, and I will join you at the launch pad when this thing's about to go up. Well, I have lied to you because we're not going straight to the launch pad because we've got these building, but we've also got money to spend on tech upgrades and all sorts. So upgrade points. I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy 6 of them. We're going to take ourselves all the way down. There we go, 6,000 funds there. We're going to put some into here. We're going to take this up to... How am I going to take it up? We're going to take it up to 10. We're going to take it up to 10 straight away. I should probably have put 1 into the R&D, but we're going to get that in there straight away. And that means that our vessel is now down to 90 days. This is a much more manageable thing. It's like, 3 months. So this launch should actually be reasonably quickly, I say. He thinks, but yeah, it's still not easy. It's still going to be a bit tight. It's going to be sort of October on the first year, which is pretty short. We do have the ability to do some science as well, so we can go over here. We can get our material science, and then we get our thing there. Now, at this point, yeah, this is where the choice comes in. What do I want? Well, I need to get the science stuff here because we are going to have to get things like, where are we? We need to get the Geiger Muller at some point, because we actually do need to do the Geiger Muller for completing our first scientific orbit. But we also want to get over here. So our next point, you'll see we've just got enough. By doing that piece of work, we've now got all those points for that. So we can now get to the Scud, if nothing else. If we don't launch any more rockets, we can still get to the Scud. Our next points are actually probably going to come into, depending upon how they come in, possibly down here. We'll think about it though. Yeah, maybe we want to go for orbital and distance first before we get more science. I don't know. Anyway, let us get this craft going, and I'll see you when it's ready to launch. Alright, so here we are on the launch pad with the Stelco 2 4BO1, and yeah, this we've got the vessel completed. Thank you very much. So the date at the moment, can we actually do it on here? Hello, will it do me? There we go. We can see it is the 17th of October. So we're significantly behind where we were with the first series because we've limited ourselves, but we're not doing too badly actually. This, if it works, will give us first return from suborbit it'll be our third launch, and it will be within 1951. And we've got now a lot of points put into the VAB. So we'll say a lot. We've got 10 points in there, so it's actually helping us significantly. So let's get this thing going, and we'll talk about it as it goes up. What I am going to do though, we need to go to 150. I think this thing, we should make it. So we're going to put Smart ASS on, which I have not used so far in this series, or in fact in this version of RP1. So this will be interesting. So engine is a go-go. Fire that engine. There we go. Oh, that's an interesting little launch profile. Is that because it's on a little wonk? I wonder if the launch site is on a, technically it's called a wonk, I believe, a slope or something, because that jolted out of there quite aggressively. What I'm actually going to do is we're going to just roll this just a smidgen over, just to give it just a little bit of a banking. I'm not too worried about how far it is. I'm pretty sure this thing's going to make 150 kilometers. My concern is coming back down, so we're just going to start turning it a little bit. Obviously we don't want to turn too violently, because this thing will break up, but we can get through the atmosphere reasonably well with it. So there we go. I'm going to turn it to about 70, I think, and I'm just going to hold it there. In fact, we're gonna actually cut. I can see we're going to cut the engines at some point pretty soon. Let's have a look. So we're going to go to about 160, and then I will cut the engines if we get that far. There we go. Cut the engine, and we've got a bit there. Now this is going to spin, and we're going to lose the height that it's going to gain, but that doesn't matter as long as we're going to get over the 150. That's fine. And in actual fact, doing this is going to help us. What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to send ourselves sideways by decoupling. There we go. Right, so now we've lost our payload. There we are. Well, we've not lost our payload. Our booster's there. We don't really need that. We don't want it. What we can do is we can check this is running. Yes, that is running. Wonderful. Now, interestingly, have I got an antenna on this? I do. You could potentially, and we'll arm the parachute, you could potentially do all of this without an antenna on here, because this thing's coming back down. We've got science. Let me just do this. Grab the science probe there. We've got science going on there that's going to be good for us. But in reality, this thing's coming back down, so we don't need an antenna on it. If you really wanted to push it and you wanted to go a long distance to see how far downrange you could do, you could do that with this, and you could basically lighten it even more. Things like antennas are a mass that you don't need. Potentially you only need one on a craft. This one, I would have it on the main body. This thing's uncontrollable, so it really doesn't matter. If you're happy with the fact that you can activate things with action groups and things without an antenna, and it doesn't annoy you and sort of feel non-realistic, I don't think it's non-realistic, because I think you'd have a timer on these things, so it's not really an issue. So we've been Suborbital. Have we done our other one? We've done our sounding rockets. Ooh, hold on, where's the... There we are. Have you done it? There you go. You've done it. Good. Right. Yeah, we have to jump across because the sounding rocket payload is in the other craft. We didn't put it on this one. We could have stayed attached until we went over the 150 kilometers, but yeah, you don't really need to worry about that. So we're going to come back down in through the atmosphere. Just check our parachute is still on because we jumped to screens. And all I did there was I used the little... the sort of square brackets left and right, which allows you to jump left and right, I believe, to other things. Let's try it. I won't try it again. We're in the atmosphere. You can do that in higher atmosphere. Because we basically decoupled while we're spinning, we stayed reasonably close to our buddy. There he is. He's, any more than that, we'd have probably had a problem. But we were within about a kilometre, so we could jump. Personally, I would probably stay attached if you're on edge about things like that. Stay attached and see how you do. So we're going to come down and land this. I'm going to take this to parachute deployment, but I'm not going to... Yeah, that's that exploding. Yeah, that's our sounding rocket task done. Yeah, so that's going to fall down over us. I mean, not the healthiest of thing when you got a parachute, but we should be okay. We should be fine. What we could have done is actually put a little solid rockets or something on here just to push it away, which would probably have helped. But again, if we'd have done that and then we decoupled early like we did, we wouldn't be able to jump back the way we are. So swings and roundabouts, I believe, is the phrase. And it would have taken us a little longer to develop. And now you can see this is slowed right down, so we're going to speedy time warp it. In fact, I'm going to not massively time up. This having this sort of blunt end like this with the science core, I find is really good for just doing all of the stuff that you need to do. So let's have a look at what have we got. What have we got actually on board while we're looking at this? I don't want that. We want 4x, this one. Give me all of that. Can I just move you? There we go, thank you. The data. So we've got 4 slots of data there. What have we got? We got 1.3, 1.5, 3, so that's 5, 5.5, 6, 7, almost 7.5 science there, which when we recover it should give us another upgrade point, which would be nice. We finally go over that upgrade point, and I believe we transmitted some science as well. That would be interesting. Let's just check. Yeah, we've transmitted enough science to get another upgrade point, so we have that to do. So we could pop that in the R&D. That'll give the R&D a bit of a boost, and that is actually where we're going to start putting points now, because 90 days for one of these rockets isn't terrible. We're actually going to be limited by our R&D for a while. So we're going to start pumping things in our R&D because we want to get those scuds sorted out, and getting to the scud actually takes time. So yeah, that's where we're going to be spending our points in the next episode. However, as we come down through here, we need to check what's our actual altitude. There we are. This is going to be it for the first episode. It's been a little bit of a different start to the previous series. We've got those, as things explode. We've got the fact that we've only got basically 2 engines to choose from. We don't have a really good like Aerobee engine, and it's very easy to underestimate how good the Aerobee is to start out with. It is a nice, cheap, small engine that allows you to do things. We don't have that. So without the Aerobee, this mission, this profile becomes a little bit tougher because you have to have bigger craft. Bigger engines mean bigger fuel tanks, means everything gets bigger, everything takes longer. I remember our first Aerobee took about 50 days to build. Our second was about the same. The second craft here, our first return craft, this return craft, the Carmeline craft took us 150 days. This took us 90 days. We would actually be beyond sort of 4th or 5th flight now with our first one, just because we've had to spend more time building bigger rockets. So as this thing comes down, until next time, we'll gather all that science up and I'll talk to you about how we're going to spend it. Have a great one.